Welcome to our International Student Brief program. Today, we have some exciting news to share. First up, the U.S. Department of Education has announced a freeze on student loan payments and interest for 8 million borrowers. This comes after a federal appeals court blocked the Biden administration's repayment program, giving borrowers a much-needed break while the legal battles continue. Next, the Biden administration is making headlines again with a massive $1.2 billion student debt discharge for 35,000 public service workers. This move is part of the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program and brings the total debt relief under the program to a staggering $69.2 billion. Finally, in Rwanda, President Paul Kagame has secured a landslide victory with 99.15% of the vote, extending his long-term leadership. Despite criticisms of political suppression, Kagame is credited with bringing stability and economic growth to the nation. Please stay tuned for more details on these stories. Yahoo US reports that the Education Department will suspend student loan payments and interest for around 8 million borrowers after a court order blocked the Biden administration's latest repayment program. The program, known as SAVE, aimed to lower monthly payments and offer loan forgiveness for certain long-time borrowers. U.S. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona criticized the politically motivated lawsuits that led to the freeze, warning of devastating consequences for borrowers if the order remains in effect. This isn't the first time payments have been paused due to legal challenges. Previously, about 3 million payments were halted after a federal judge in Kansas blocked the administration's efforts. Critics argue that the plan constitutes government overreach and unfairly burdens taxpayers, while supporters like Mike Pierce from the Student Borrower Protection Center see the freeze as a necessary measure to comply with court orders. Yahoo US also reveals that the Biden administration has discharged $1.2 billion in student debt for over 35,000 public service workers under the Public Service Loan Forgiveness (PSLF) program. This program benefits teachers, nurses, firefighters, social workers, and other public servants, including military personnel. Since October 2021, debt relief under PSLF has totaled $69.2 billion for 946,000 borrowers. U.S. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona emphasized that these individuals would finally receive the financial relief they were promised. Debt relief advocates praised the announcement but warned that such assistance could end if Donald Trump returns to the White House. The PSLF program has seen significant improvements under the Biden administration, including the introduction of an online PSLF help tool and the ability to digitally track application status. In another report from Yahoo US, the Biden administration announced the cancellation of an additional $1.2 billion in student loans for public service workers, benefiting roughly 35,000 borrowers. This relief comes through changes to the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, which eliminates the remaining loan balance after 120 qualifying monthly payments. President Biden highlighted that these borrowers, including teachers, nurses, and first responders, will now have more financial breathing room. The PSLF program, created by Congress in 2007, faced numerous challenges due to strict rules and errors by loan servicers. Under Biden, some rules were adjusted to retroactively credit borrowers for their payments. This announcement comes amid legal battles over the administration's broader plans for student loan forgiveness, which have faced opposition from Republican-led states. Despite these challenges, the administration has forgiven $168.5 billion in student debt for 4.76 million borrowers, including $69.2 billion through the PSLF program. Bloomberg. President Joe Biden's latest strategy to stabilize his re-election campaign has been a sharp pivot to the left, aiming to win over progressive support with ambitious proposals like erasing medical debt, capping rent increases, and imposing new restraints on the Supreme Court. This move comes after a disastrous debate performance that raised concerns about his age and prompted calls for him to step aside. Over the past 3 weeks, Biden has tried to quell these worries through a series of major press conferences, primetime interviews, rallies, and memos to lawmakers, donors, and the media. Despite these efforts, the bleeding hasn't stopped, with prominent figures like Adam Schiff calling on Biden to pass the torch. However, progressive Democrats have provided unexpected support, viewing Biden as someone they can lobby effectively on progressive policy goals. Biden's campaign has outlined progressive priorities like new protections for organized labor, civil and voting rights legislation, and lower drug prices, though many face long odds. Senior White House advisors Anita Dunn and Bruce Reed are developing a second-term agenda for Biden. Despite these efforts, concerns about Biden's age and health persist, and his support is not universal, with some progressives and unions expressing frustration. Deutsche Welle. Projected results from Rwanda's election commission show that incumbent President Paul Kagame has been re-elected with a staggering 99.15% of the vote, with a turnout of 98%. This election was effectively a rerun of the 2017 non-contest, where Kagame won 98.79% of the vote. Only two opposition candidates, who had no real profile, were allowed to run. Kagame, who has been the de facto leader since the 1994 genocide and president since 2000, is seen as both an autocrat who silences criticism and a strong leader who brought stability to Rwanda. Despite heavy criticism for arbitrarily jailing political opponents and stoking unrest in the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo, Kagame maintains broad popularity in Rwanda. He is credited with significant economic growth and infrastructure development, although nearly half the population lives on less than $2.15 per day. The powerful propaganda arm of his Rwandan Patriotic Front, RPF, has been working full tilt, and prominent opposition figures were disqualified from running. Kagame's broad popularity and economic achievements have secured him another term, despite the autocratic nature of his rule. Guardian. Rwandan President Paul Kagame is set for a fourth term after winning 99.15% of the vote in an election where only two challengers were allowed to run against him. The outcome was never in doubt, with Kagame ruling Rwanda with an iron fist for 3 decades. Partial results showed Kagame surpassing his previous election's 98.79% vote. The Democratic Green Party candidate, Frank Habineza, and independent Philippe Mpayimana garnered only 0.53% and 0.32% of the vote, respectively. Kagame thanked Rwandans for their trust, emphasizing the importance of the high vote percentage. With 65% of the population under 30, Kagame is the only leader most Rwandans have known. He is credited with rebuilding Rwanda after the 1994 genocide but is also accused of ruling through fear and fostering instability in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Despite significant economic growth, nearly half the population lives on less than $2.15 a day. The Election Commission barred high-profile opposition figures, and Kagame's well-oiled PR machine overshadowed his rivals' campaigns. Amnesty International reported severe restrictions on Rwanda's political opposition, including threats, arbitrary detention, and enforced disappearances. South China Morning Post. Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has clinched another overwhelming victory in the recent elections, securing 99.15% of the vote with 79% of ballots counted. This extends his rule, which began in 2000, for another 5 years. Kagame's dominance is stark, with his closest competitor, Frank Habineza of the Democratic Green Party, garnering only 0.53% of the vote, and independent candidate Philippe Mpayimana receiving 0.32%. Despite criticisms of stifling opposition and ruling through fear, Kagame remains immensely popular among many Rwandans for his role in rebuilding the nation post-genocide and achieving significant economic growth. However, his regime faces accusations of human rights abuses and meddling in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The elections also saw a simultaneous legislative vote, with Kagame's Rwandan Patriotic Front expected to maintain a majority in the Chamber of Deputies. Al Jazeera. Alexandra Matvichuk, a Nobel Prize-winning human rights defender from Ukraine, has been tirelessly documenting war crimes committed by Russian forces in Ukraine. Her organization, the Center for Civil Liberties, has collected testimonies of torture, rape, and arbitrary executions from survivors of Russian captivity. Matvichuk's work aims to hold Russian leaders, including President Vladimir Putin, accountable through an international tribunal. Her dedication to human rights advocacy has gained international recognition and support, although the ongoing war remains the primary focus for her and her colleagues. Matvichuk's journey into human rights began in high school, inspired by Soviet-era dissidents, and has since evolved into a career marked by significant achievements and relentless pursuit of justice for victims of war crimes. Al Jazeera. Rwandans have commenced voting in presidential and legislative elections, with incumbent President Paul Kagame poised to secure another term. Kagame, who has been the de facto leader for nearly 3 decades, faces only two challengers, Frank Habineza and Philippe Mpayimana, after prominent opposition figures were barred from running. Despite allegations of human rights abuses and autocratic rule, Kagame enjoys substantial support for his economic achievements and efforts in national rebuilding post-genocide. The elections also include a parliamentary vote, with over 500 candidates competing for 80 seats in the Chamber of Deputies. Kagame's Rwandan Patriotic Front is expected to retain its majority, continuing its dominance in Rwandan politics. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Got a question in your mind. We'll find the answer, we'll be kind. Encyclopedia on everything. Laugh and learn with the zing, zing, zing. From ends to outer space, we've got the facts in one great place. For kids and grown-ups too, we've got the A to Z for you. Got a question in your mind. We'll find the answer, we'll be kind. Encyclopedia on everything. Laugh and learn with the zing, zing, zing. From ends to outer space, we've got the facts